How can scoliosis affect you emotionally? Scoliosis affects all ages, but it's most commonly diagnosed in children, mostly in adolescent stages. While the emotional and physiological effects of being diagnosed with a progressive spinal condition can be difficult for anyone to handle, children and adolescents are definitely most vulnerable to this negative health effects or negative mental health effects as a result of this information. When we look at scoliosis, like I mentioned, it's mostly diagnosed in adolescent. And adolescent idiopathic scoliosis is the most common type of diagnosis, and this occurs typically between 10 and 18 years of age. And this is by far the largest diagnosis period. This age group is at most vulnerable to negative self-esteem without any type of diagnosis of scoliosis or any other type of health problem. And this negative self-image, self-esteem, body awareness issues can occur in normal patients without scoliosis, but when we add scoliosis on top of it, it can complicate issues. As adolescents, they're really just trying to kind of get into an age group that you're trying to become self-aware. And this type of problem, when we look at the effect it can have on mental health, is that this is the age group we really want to focus on when we look at diagnosis. Now, the physical changes with scoliosis is postural, meaning a scoliosis is a condition that you can't hide. As you develop the condition, as the curve becomes more and more severe, it starts affecting posture and shape of the torso. And these postural changes can become unnatural and because of what we see that occurs in the spine. As the spine begins to curve and twist, it starts introducing uneven postural changes. It starts affecting the shoulder heights. It starts affecting the ribcage and development. It starts affecting the way the arms are hanging, uneven hips, uneven legs appear to hang at different areas of the body. And this asymmetrical body appearance can start affecting the cosmetics and start making not only the way they look, but also how the way their clothes fits, the way they walk. And these physical changes can make teens kind of stand out or make them feel different. And this asymmetry can lead to a negative self-image, and these body issues can really affect the adolescent's mental health. And teens with scoliosis really talk about how like they want to go out as much. They talk about how they want to kind of cover themselves or conceal themselves with big clothing. A lot of the females could have really long hair to kind of cover their backs because they don't want to see. In fact, many patients, when they start seeing these things, they won't even talk to their parents about it. So many cases go undiagnosed because the only thing that starts happening is a visual appearance. Most kids don't feel pain or discomfort. So therefore, we know these scoliosis cases that they start having these postural things start happening, they start kind of drawing inward and they don't want to be involved as much and they kind of pull away. We also know scoliosis, like I mentioned, can affect the way they walk and the way they move because it's affecting the center of gravity, and patients can start looking off-center. And this off-center can lead to disruptions in balance and coordination and gait. And teens don't really want to walk different or look different. So this kind of embarrasses them and they withdraw even further. And teens that are particularly involved heavily into sports or activities, this could affect their ability to participate in these sports and activities. And a lot of younger kids, they find their identity and their friendships in their activities and sports that they're participating in. And if they can't, this erodes in their adolescent peer groups, their sense of self and purpose, and it can create really a lot of negative emotions and anxiety. So this is another thing to consider, that just being diagnosed with any medical condition can be stressful, because when you're diagnosed with something, it's this idea of like, why do I have this problem? It's this why me kind of purpose. And this condition, we also know it's a progressive condition, and we also know it's an uncurable condition. So you can imagine just being told that you have a progressive problem that potentially can worsen over time, and it's going to, and there's no way to cure it. There's nothing that can be done to actually just correct it. This could be very hard for anybody to hear, but especially a person very young in age that doesn't understand the consequences of what this really means. And even though that scoliosis is a progressive condition and there's no cure for it, it can be highly treatable if things are done appropriately. And the last thing is that this progression, unfortunately, is triggered by growth, something they can't even control, because all kids are going to go through growth. And as they grow, they can't, if it's going to worsen, a lot of times they feel like they can't stop the worsening. They're told by the professionals, so nothing you can do to stop it. If you're going to get worse, you're going to grow. So they're in this sense of of lack of control, like there's no control, nothing they can do about it, and they're going to go through this rapid phase of growth, and at this time they have this chance of rapidly worsening, and there's very little they can do to try to stop it. This knowledge of scoliosis being progressive, being uncurable, it's going to worsen when you grow, really causes these feelings of hopelessness, despair, and it's very natural, unfortunately, for these children to have this mental effect that starts to really build on them. And how to overcome this becomes a challenge. Because the best way to deal with the effects that scoliosis can have, mental and physical effects, is to really treat the condition proactively. Try to reduce the curvature as quickly as we can, because we know progression is normally triggered by growth. So treating kids during this growth phase of progression is by far the best chance that we have of helping people deal with the negative effects of scoliosis. But unfortunately, the treatment requires a certain level of commitment and focus from the child. And this itself alone could have a negative mental health effect, because again, they're saying not every other kid has to go through this. Why am I going through this? This is the why me kind of thing kind of happens over here. And also sometimes the treatment involves them wearing braces or doing things that makes them look different as well. The treatment makes them kind of feel different. The problem makes them feel different. And therefore, there's a lot of things that we have to overcome. But we do know that if we can treat patients in this young stage, and patients can get motivated by either identifying with famous people that have, or professional athletes that have scoliosis, or they can see that their curves are improving, their body, the shape are improving. If they can get motivated and focus on what's getting better, it can have a very positive effect on their health and well-being. Meaning, if they can overcome all this adversity and start treating the scoliosis effectively and start doing something about they feel was told uncontrollable, uncurable, the curve is going to worsen and get bigger, and they can overcome that, now the negative effects of scoliosis mentally could have a tremendous amount of positive effects. I see kids completely change as a result of their treatment. As they start reducing their curves and start getting better, they become different kids. They become empowered. They feel like they can do things and accomplish things that they thought they couldn't do before. They have their inward child to become more of an outward child. And I can really see lives change, not because of the curve reduction, just because of the sense of accomplishment that the child has achieved as a result of their treatment. So early treatment success, early improvement, treating it quickly, getting them involved in the care, them understanding that they have a control and input on what happens to their scoliosis is amazing, watching kids go through this. So all scoliosis patients need support, particularly when they're adolescent cases that are very vulnerable to this self-image and body issues because of the stage that they're in developing this self-awareness, and really having open dialogue with teens about this diagnosis and what it means. And here at the center, we try to do this. I personally try to talk to all of the patients and all the kids that are going through the process and understand that what's possible if they can get through the process and what it means for their life and long-term life. Now, it's important for all patients with scoliosis, but we understand children and adolescents have the highest chance of worsening quickly. So scoliosis treatable at this age really doesn't have to limit a person's life. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this information helpful. If you have any questions about this topic or other scoliosis questions, type in the comments below and let us know. And finally, subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of when we publish new videos just like this.